So, and we just left creating a new class, and a customer should have all attributes of a user. So a customer should be a user. And how can we do that? So a customer, and I don't want to create all the stuff. I don't want to copy all my stuff here. So I just want to tell my computer, customer should be inherited from my user. So a customer should be a child, and the user should be the parent. So I should be derived from a user, and it's called inheritance, Vererbung in Norwegian, or like Vererbung in German, which is a very, very essential concept in object-oriented programming, which makes stuff just faster and better, and also gives the overall applications a better structure as well. But in addition, is also very powerful to do stuff. So how to derive from my parent user? My parent, my mom, is my user. So, and I just have to type colon and user, which tells me my customer should be a user and should derive all attributes from my user. So if I create a user, if I create a customer, let's see, I go back to the main application, I create a customer. So customer C1 equals new customer, like this, C1, and if I type C1 dot, I can see that all the attributes which are in the user class are inside of my customer here as well, even though I haven't written my stuff here. So I don't have to write it. But I can, in addition, give my customer extra attributes. For instance, public, bank balance, maybe bank balance. Or I can tell my computer as well, something like public void purchase item. Let's give it a name like this, purchase item, something like this. I can fill it afterwards. So because my customer maybe has the opportunities to purchase items as well. So maybe this is possible. And if I go back to my main application and type C1 plus, I can see now I have all the attributes from my user. Name, ID, is active, status. But in addition, I can use my extra attributes and my additional methods, like purchase item whatsoever. So this is just very, very useful to give us more opportunities. And of course, I can use all the methods which user has, something like this, and print my data as well. And of course, but so as a first step to understand inheritance is I can derive items, I can derive different scenarios from my basic class, from my mother or parent classes, and give them to my child or to my children, and give them all my attributes and give them all my methods, like I have here. But also I can give them extra functionalities, and I can tell them, okay, this should be like this and this should be like this. So to visualize how powerful this is. I can create another class. For instance, I will create another class which is like an employee. So I'll create another class, add new item, for instance, employee, employee, something like this. So, and the employee will also be inherited from my user in the beginning, user, something like this, but will have different aspects, like for instance, working level, position. I can give it like something public string, position, job position, job title, job position, and of course public boolean is working, something like this. And I can maybe I can also create another class to show also the concept. I could create another class, for instance, a boss. Let's call it the boss. Let's say bosses, so we can have boss as well, which is also a user, but will have extra functionalities, maybe many of them, but just one functionality which is just very important, maybe like let's call it fire. If I want to fire an employee, let's call it how to fire. Yeah, let's call it fire employee or whatever. Yeah, fire employee, something like this, and public void, we can do this, and of course I could create another class, and which could be hire employee as well, and this could be, they could take as a parameter an employee, so we could use an employee as a parameter e, because we want to fire an employee and then we just want to do something with it. And when we go back and create an employee, for instance, let's call it employee E1, maybe new employee, something like this, and look what's happening with ID, job position, everything like this, and the status is maybe one is working, is, for instance, is true, something like this. And if I create a method afterwards which is firing an employee, I can interact with the employees. So I can tell them, okay, the bank balance will be 0, the status is set to not working, and whatsoever. So I can use different stuff. I just want to show how we can interact with those classes. But as a first step to understand inheritance, we have to understand that all our different classes are derived from our basic class user. So user tells us, okay, user is our parent, user is our mommy, and we are the children. And because we are children, we can get all the attributes from our mom and from our daddy and whatsoever. But mostly it's called parent. Sometimes it's called parent. My mom is our parent and whatsoever. So if we create things like this and use it like this, it's very important for us that everything is just nicer and more reduced. We don't have to write code so much anymore, and it's not so tricky anymore, and everything is just easier for us. But of course, we always have to think about structure in the very beginning first. So, like purchase item, and if I want to purchase item, let's call it like a string item, something like this, and of course, all our different classes have something in common. They have a method which is print data. And I can always use my print data, which is here. Print data. Something like this. And I can always use it like this. And I can see, okay, but what did I not tell you right now is in the very beginning, we created constructors. And we didn't create constructors in employee or in customer, whatsoever. We didn't create constructors there. And in the very beginning, and I remember my professor said, when you inherit, as a first step, please be advised to create your own constructors in the very beginning. So in the beginning, try to create your own constructors. So that's why. But I will show you afterwards. I will show you in the future how to use constructors in that way. But just to just make it a bit better structured in the very beginning, try to understand when you use inheritance, make your own constructors in the beginning. So I will make my own constructors, and I will always make a basic constructor here, customer, something like this, something like this up here, and sometimes a basic constructor is enough, but always begin with a basic constructor. That's why just copy all the stuff. Public employee, something like this, because it makes stuff easier in the beginning to understand if you create your own constructors. And I would always create the constructor after the attributes and before the methods. But that's just the way I have learned it. Doesn't mean it has to be like this. Sometimes it has to be, but it's not in this case. So in the very beginning, I would just advise to write your own constructors. And of course, we can write as many constructors as we want, but I'm just lazy right now. I just want to focus on the structure. I want to focus on the component inheritance. But in the beginning, try to create your own constructors there. So as a first step for inheritance, I think that's just understandable. I hope it's not too much information. It should be fine. I'm finished with my input at this stage. But from now on, we'll have more and more sessions again. I had some technical issues, and I won't take so much of a Christmas break because I want to have like lots of theory coming this year. So next week, I will also have my session, and hopefully my technical problems have been resolved now. What I really can suggest now is that you really play around and begin building bigger and bigger applications and stuff and like this, and trying to make, okay, the customer can sell something, and when he buys something, the bank balance goes down, and when the customer and the boss can fire, the boss can hire and can set the salary up to another grade and whatsoever. So there are already many possibilities of this structure, and I would use so much time just to go through such applications. But of course, we will do some stuff as well when I have prepared something. But in the first step, to me, it's very important to talk about the basic structures, and then we try to generate stuff more and more. But as a first step, I think I'm finished with I will upload both videos now, and I get many questions from you guys. It's also very nice, because mostly when we sit here alone, it's just 2 or 3 of people. But there are many people following, so thank you for this. It's just cool that you really see this as a useful programming tool. It's not the most professional programming course, but I think we can go quite far, and in June we will be able to make a lot of cool stuff. So, but please, if you really want to learn programming, please make your own stuff and make your own stuff and generate and play around and stuff. So which should be really cool. Yeah, thank you. So let's see you next week. So